I woke up middle of the night, and it was as if I'd been having a dream, but I couldn't remember the dream. But instead, when I woke up, I was just filled with, it was like the aftermath of the dream. It was like all these thoughts of how wonderful it is to be able to help people naturally, and heal people and serve people, right? And I remember I would counter that. This happened 3 times that night, by the way. And I would counter these feelings by thinking, well, the new IBM PC has a 4 megahertz processor or 2, or who knows. I can get 16K of RAM now or whatever. Just, really dumb, really dumb things. And so, but that's kind of how it went the whole night. It was like I'd wake up and then I would counter those feelings. And the next day I still didn't know what to do. Because I thought, yeah, it's true. It's great to help people. But then on the other hand, computers, I was in love with computers. My wife and I didn't have a couch for 10 years, but we went through several new computers, during that time. It's kind of sad. My wife was a computer widow.
Hashtag priorities.
Yeah, poor thing. So anyway, yeah, kind of sad. But anyway, so the next night, last thing that on our knees again, asking for guidance. And on the second night, the same experience happened again. And I was awakened 3 times on the second night. But each time that I was awakened on the second night, these thoughts were exponentially more powerful. So that on the third time that I was awakened on the second night, the thoughts of service to mankind and humanity and the whole entire world was just absolutely overwhelming. And in that moment, a voice spoke to me as clearly as I'm speaking to you right now. And it said, "This is a sacred calling." And I thought, okay, I get it. I accept, basically. And so, so that was the beginning of my turn down one path, and probably it reminds me of the poem by Robert Frost, 2 roads diverged into a snowy wood, and and I chose the one less traveled by, and it's made all the difference. And so anyway, I went to chiropractic school, and it was a wonderful experience. And when I got out of school, I figured, higher power, God's gotten me into this, and so maybe God will help me. And so I developed this private personal habit. And that was that whenever I would go to work on a patient, I would just take a moment and just silently ask for help. And, the interesting thing about that is that there were times, not many, I can count them on one hand, but over the roughly 18 or so years that I was in practice, there were times when I needed to understand something. There was something going on that this patient had happening, and I didn't know how to help them. And the information in response to that ask, the information would just flood in. And it was an amazing thing. Didn't happen every time. Didn't happen very often, really, but it did happen. And, I think that when we ask for help from the higher power, or whatever you want to call it, that information, those answers come. Sometimes they come right away and they're dramatic. Most often they come in a very subtle way that it's very easy to miss, because it can come as just a very slight kind of feeling or intuition or intention or impression, or maybe a thought or an idea that we have. So anyway, as time went on in my practice, I began to realize that the subconscious mind within each one of my patients was actually a computer, and that I could communicate with it. Now, how this began really was really interesting. I had for quite a number of years, I used a method called activator method, and it had to realign a bone, you'd use this little metal gun, little stainless steel, kind of a handheld plunger gun, had a rubber tip, and you'd squeeze it, and then it would fire just a little impulse, and we could use that to realign bones, and patients liked it because it was very, very gentle and so on. Part of this method was that it involved the use of this special table. And this table would stand up vertically, and then a patient would stand against the table, put their nose in the slot in the middle, and grab onto the handles on the sides. And then I would press a button, and the table would lay down flat, and this foot plate would drop away so that I could get a really clear picture of what their leg length actually was. And the idea was that when a patient was done with their visit, their leg length would be balanced, right? And in this methodology, what I found and what they teach is that if a bone is out of alignment, for example, if you push on that bone, it kind of irritates the system, and the leg length will actually become more imbalanced. When you correct a bone and then you push on it again, if you fix it, it won't imbalance anymore. The leg length will stay the same. It was really cool, right? So I did this for a number of years. And then one day, this patient comes in, this guy, and he's lying down on the table, and I've just finished his treatment. And I've fixed everything I can find. His legs are totally balanced. And for some reason, I start thinking about his left kidney. And I come back and I check his leg length, and all of a sudden, one leg is like 3/4 of an inch short. And I thought, wait a minute, what? I just balanced this guy. So I thought about his right kidney for a moment, came back and checked his legs, and they were perfectly balanced. Then I thought about his left kidney again, and all of a sudden, it's 3/4 of an inch off. And I thought, what? What is going on here? And that was a really major turning point, because I realized that his computer system somehow, the spirit within him, his subconscious mind, was somehow in communication with my mind. And so from that point on, I began to experiment with this. And I found that I could actually think about a particular bone. And if that bone was balanced and aligned, there would be no change in the leg length. But if I found a bone that was misaligned, boop, I'd get a big change. And then I started learning that I could ask about organs and glands and all kinds of things, and I could get yeses and nos from the computer. And I came to realize that I think the most powerful computer that exists in the known universe actually is within each one of us, you see.
Hey there, Inspired Evolutionary. If you absolutely loved this, well then here's a full conversation with this guest on the Inspired Evolution podcast. Check it out now.